Hello, once again, everybody. Welcome to another roleplay review. Final one that I'm going to do for the night. And this review is going to be over the. It's called The Final Dance Neon Abyss, but it's still part of the Saiyan Saga. So, yeah, welcome to Neon Abyss, everybody. And let me pull this up here. Welcome. Character in this one is Swan Song, hence the title card that I created. And the type is combat and training for neon hacking. Again, Ike put this arc under the final dance. I would still say it's a Saiyan Saga more so, but it's their story, so I'll let them tell it. And the synopsis is the Insignian agent of Braid dives into the neon network of Vera's relay tower in the city of Embrace in order to establish a secure connection against the Imperial S-Freaks. So, little bit of background on this one. Nova is, as we all know, on a mission to Vera. And does not tell anybody on the ship that there was another mission that she was to carry out. And her mission originally was to kidnap Virian nobility and kind of use them as political leverage. And she states that it was not her idea, but she is a king and she has to fulfill the needs and wishes of her people. And so even though she is very much against doing that, she agreed. So she hired someone to do it very discreetly. And upon arriving on Vera, we have a problem. We have a very big problem. The only way that you can make any sort of communication on Vera is through Imperial channels. Now, Nova, having worked for the Empire directly under Kwai, is very familiar with those channels and knows exactly the types of things that they do and how deeply they monitor them. And no other frequency can be used other than their S-Freaks. So once she gets on planet, she does what's called like a dead drop. A dead drop is essentially you leave information for your agent somewhere where only they would know. And it's either got mission details or something like information. It's, whole psyops spy thingy. And it's something that Nova's not really good at. Even in the log, she can't remember the channel that she even needs to use to do it. So she's very bad at it. But she does get a hold of her agent, who is supposed to be carrying out the mission to capture this nobility. And she updates the mission parameters for this person and says, hey, instead of doing the capture thing, do not do that. I'm going to need you to get communications up and running for everything. Like we need to be able to send a message to one another while on planet without it being monitored, and we're also going to need to send a message off planet. And that's where we come in with Neon Abyss. And like this log, Ike had been updating me kind of throughout their process of writing this log. And this log, it's out there. It's really out there. The only thing that I can really say, I know I say the only thing that I can say about it 5 minutes later. We'll see how long this video is, but I think I should say you're welcome to Ike, to Swan Song, because it really seems like you were having fun with this one. There are certain logs that you have where, not everything needs to be a Minas Mordred, this great, big, masterful work of art. Sometimes you need to get from point A and point B. Sometimes you just need to get shit done. And I kind of love that I gave this mission to Swansong because of what they did with it, right? Again, it seems like this was just a lot of fun. Of basically, I let them role play Cyberpunk. You know, for people who have not played that game, this probably wouldn't make as much sense, or it would be so over the top trippy that you would probably lose interest in it unless you're really into that kind of reading. But let's get into it. So, one thing that I will say, like, Ike really loves everything that's not punching and kicking. And maybe in another log I'll talk more in depth about that. But, I won't say looks down upon it, but kind of looks down on it, right? Like, to highlight other aspects of just getting things done, right? It's like, you can't punch your way out of everything. You can't kick your way. You can't blow stuff up, right? And to kind of show that kind of comparison and juxtaposition, you kind of have to say, like, this is just as important as that. And we get that here, right? I'm trying to, because I don't know how to really to describe this to you guys. It's one of those things where you just need to really read it to understand it. But we had the S frequency, right? And now we have the, what is it, neon? What do you say at the very end? Yeah, neon frequency is what it's called. And neon is an acronym, and it stands for Nanotime Ether Communication Orbital Network. Neon, right? And she, being Swansong, is trying to get access to that. And when I thought of the mission, I gave Eichenbaugh Lux, I gave them I won't say I won't give them any notes. I didn't give them any parameters. I just said, like, hey, like, this is a mission, right? Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to get communications back. And I don't know if they wanted me to kind of guide them to it. I've been more of like the hands off of, like, this is your goal, get there, right? You don't have to show me your work. You don't have to use the equations that I'm looking for to get there. Just get that done. Like it's almost kind of like here's a goal for a one-off D&D session. Go have fun, right? Go save the princess. If you save the princess by burning the whole village down, right? And stealing all their stuff and then going out and buying the Sword of Destiny and, killing the dragon with that, great. If you, sacrifice everybody to the dragon and it's so full it can't fight back, then you just, go about it, great. If you go and fight the dragon and don't sacrifice anybody, great. I gave no parameters on how this was going to be done. In my mind, just from where I'm at, right? I was thinking more of like a cyber infiltrating, a communications tower and taking out guards and avoiding cameras and something like that. But, I let them do what they felt best was for their character. So what does that mean? What happened? They still have the noble. So it's kind of like I guess the timeline would be when Nova sent the message to change the mission was already kind of over. So, there's a saying I would say nobleman, but he's probably like in his like early 20s, who's been kind of seduced by Swan Song, and I guess unconscious in a bathtub while while they're there, they Swan Song starts to what they call ice pick. And guys, when I tell you that like they go deep into this stuff, like they go deep into it, and it sounds legit, right? Like all of this stuff it sounds legit. Like you're ice picking from the safety of the firehouse to get into the neon signal. And I awarded this pretty high up. This was almost perfect, right? Almost perfect. But it definitely got, good greens, good reds. And why did I do that? Because it's still training, right? It's training for a skill that an android, like an insignian android, not a cyborg, right? Not somebody who was kind of like Jaime, who is mostly human with cybernetic kind of like stuff in them. Like, no, this is a computer walking and talking and thinking and becoming more sentient by the moment, right? Not even emulating, a human. Like Swan Song is a completely inorganic machine, and it here really gets to show that. And they go full into, well, what does this place look like, right? What does cyberspace look like to an insignian brain? And we get to see it, and like it's lights, but I mean, at least for me when I was reading it, it wasn't just light scattered across like the universe, like you're looking at stars. No, it's light 1,000 times, right? Like take stars in the sky, but multiply it by 1,000, but organize it, right? Like folders are, you know, synapses firing in your brain, but in squares, right? And they're trying to get into this network. So essentially Swan Song is like just sitting there, all these wires hooked up to them, and just, I mean, they don't really have a face, but they're just vacant, not here, because their mind is up in cyberspace trying to get this done. And they talk about how like ice picking, there's leaderboards for it, but it kind of doesn't make sense. Like, you never tell everyone, and I've been watching Archer, so just forgive me, but you never tell anyone that you're the world's greatest secret agent if it's supposed to be a secret. So once people know how great you are at hacking, you're not an anonymous hacker anymore, and people are actually going to avoid you, so it defeats the purpose. But she's, kind of afraid. And that's part of the reason why like this got such high marks, is because you like the task that I gave the character. Nova gave her the task of getting communications back, but it's almost like I gave Ike the task of show us what hacking looks like. Show us what cyberspace looks like. Again, that was never my intention. I was imagining something way more actually physical, like to go there and, I definitely don't want to like blow up a communications tower, but like, something like that. Sneaking in and busting into a window, busting out of a window, getting your getaway car. And, I just took that and was like, nope, that's trash. I want to show you this. And I think that this was a better way to go about it. And so as Swan Song is connecting themselves to this network, they're like actually afraid. And it's like, well, why? Why are you afraid? Well, because they don't have the processor to do it. They don't have the processor to it. Chat, I'm going to ask you, what does that mean? they don't have the processing power to hack that. What could that possibly mean in our setting? What could we be talking about? They don't have the tear. They don't have the energy, right? This is how you equate that stuff back to our setting. You know, I did give like the one kind of note. They were like, "Hey, like what should this be?" And I just said it should be a challenge. you know, it should be a challenge for Swansong. It should be something that of their tier, of their skill set, of their skill base, right? What's their floor? What's their ceiling? It should be the ceiling of what they should get done, right? This should not be a easy mission for them. It shouldn't be, I just dress up like a guard, walk in there some place and press a button. It should not be that. It should be difficult. And they're like, okay, yeah, all right. So as they're trying to get through this, they're telling us that they need more coolant because it's taking their processing power. They're turning off all non-essential and some essential programs and functions like breathing, right? Turning off their liver and their lungs, slowing their heart rate down. Everything is going so that they can compute fast enough to get this hack done. And, I thought it was really, really cool. And there is a part of this where it's like, damn, I really wish you wouldn't have did that. It makes sense to why you did it, and it just adds drama to what the outcome of what I'm hoping to happen is. But they're not wrong in how they did it, right? So while she's trying to hack into this, she's like, we're told as we're reading of, you never go right in, right? We're kind of told that, like Swansong is better than the others because they know not to go directly to it. Right. If that's the door you need to get into, you don't just walk up to the door and start fiddling with it. No, like you gotta, get somebody's attention over here. Like walk over here and knock on the door. What was that noise? And guard walks over there. And she's essentially causing things on the internet to go awry, right? At first, it's just little stuff of like, you're gonna pay for dinner. Oh, the Zenny reader, the card reader doesn't work. Let me reboot this. And anything to get any sort of IT technician's eyes off of this over here and on all these little things. And that's where I'm like, man, I really wish you wouldn't have like said that you're going to cause like accidents and fires and stuff like that. Because now we really are running into like, I had to do a little cyber terrorizing to get this done, right? But it works, right? And when I say like, if it ever finds out that Nova did this, like this is gonna have to come back on her. Like you told this person to go do this, whatever kind of negativity comes from it, that falls on you, man. Like you're running point on this mission, whether the people that are out there acting on your behalf know what your mission is or not, because we never really did that role play of like, let me sit everybody down, let me explain what's going on, right? I am very aware that we've never done that. I knew going into this that we had not done that, so that's kind of on the character. If it ever gets out that she was the one that had this noble captured, right? I don't know how that's going to play out, but that will then fall on her. So while Swansong's causing all these distractions, right? And follow me here. Like imagine I have two more hands and I'm doing all this with my hands, but then they're still back here picking the lock, right? And like, oh, I haven't done enough. So then 2 more hands, right? It's like the 4 witches technique. And then 2 more hands. And then 2 more hands, right? So Swan Song's just pretty much, if you had to like see if their normal body is all red, right? Like I'm a red guy, I'm functioning, but I keep turning off processes and I start becoming white. And whatever is red left is my processing. Like she's red, like right up in here. It's almost down to a pin that she is trying to get through this. And I'm heavily kind of skipping over things, but she does all this in like under 5 minutes, right? Yeah, 3.5 minutes. So she knows, she's aware that the longer she is connected to this network, the longer she is doing this, while she's basically trying to keep all these false alarms going. She's trying to hack in here, and it's just not working. Her exoskeleton starts to take damage, right? Her nose starts to bleed, her skin starts to boil, her fingernails turn black, and her teeth starts to crack. I just imagine this thing like putting itself through absolute hell, and at the end it just kind of falls over and starts like to convulse, and it's like overheating, right? Because again, why, chat room, is she doing this? Why, Mud, is she doing this? Well, what happens when you use up all your RP energy, right? What happens when King Kai tells you don't go higher than a Kaioken 3 and you go to a Kaioken 4? You start to overheat, right? There's ramifications. So that's why I thought this was a great log. That's why I thought this was a really cool and interesting way to show an android's perspective on how you can be functioning within our setting, within our rule set, and not let it kind of hamper you down, right? You don't always have to punch kick to gain more strength. Now, if you had 5 years of this, your tier 4, should you have actual tier 4 strength if this is how you powered up? No. But the moment that you touch a computer, it's yours, right? Like something like this should not equate to then like, yeah, someone who's been ice picking for 4 years in real life then goes to fight Hypo. Hypo would tear you apart. In a physical confrontation, tier 4 Hypo versus tier 4 Swansong, and Swansong's basically specced in ice picking and hacking. Yeah, no. But what would Swansong do? Oh, I can turn off the oxygen and the gravity on every ship that you're ever going to be on. You will never get away from me. You can destroy one body, and because I'm so evolved, I've got like Ultron, right? Like I've got a trillion bodies, and so it then becomes Metal Cooler, right? You got to go through all of us to get to me. So it was just a really good log. I've got 25 minutes, Jesus. I would say like if you guys had some of the devil's lettuce and read this, you'll have a good time. It's a trip. It definitely is a trip. Don't do that. Don't do that. Drugs are bad. Yeah, and we'll see what comes with the repercussions and how bad the disasters were that she was causing. I hope they aren't bad. I hope it's little stuff that can be dealt with. But hey, we got the dragon frequency. That's part 2. The neon frequency is only for local stuff. We need the dragon frequency to get stuff off planet. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was a good log. Good read. We did 5-3, right? So 5 green, 3 red for a very good, very unique trip. So Thanks for watching, guys, and y'all have a good one. Y'all.